everybody. Happy Wednesday. Chris Meaney here with you on the Mayo Media Network. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. This is the Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bet Show presented by Prize Picks. We got 6 games in the NHL today. On this Wednesday, we got Griff Dog DFS, Griffin Swanson hanging by. We're going to break it all down with some picks, some props, some DFS plays as well. Please like, rate, review, subscribe to this show, like right here on the Mayo Media Network, and leave a comment, a question that you have. We'll circle back before puck drop tonight, but it is time for the Prize Picks play of the day. 6 games, as I mentioned. Make sure you get a deposit match of up to $100 by following the link in the description here. So several different player props to choose from, the over-unders on shots and saves that will appear mid-afternoon over at prizepicks.com. So check that out as well. When I talked to you guys on Monday, I said Nate McKinnon was just a little low. His prop total was at 4 against the Sharks. Today it is at 5. I still like it, but I'm just going to be a little bit different. When I say a little bit different, I mean, I'm going to his line mate, Mikko Rantanen, and it's at 3.6 today. I think this is slightly low as well. Everything that I said on Monday applies. Colorado didn't win, but they still put a lot of pucks on net against the Sharks. San Jose, 5-on-5 numbers per 60 minutes. They've allowed the 7th most shots. They're second in goals against, expected goals, 5th highest rate at 5-on-5 per 60 minutes, according to Natural Stat Trick. And actually their numbers, it got worse. Like they were 7th in high danger chances allowed. Now they're 5th. They were 6th in scoring chances allowed per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Now they've given up the 4th most. And you look at Colorado, they've generated the 5th most scoring chances and they're top 10 in high danger chances allowed. It's basically because of that top line between Rantanen, Landeskog, and Nate McKinnon. And you look at Mikko Rantanen, 8 goals, 18 points in 19 games, 63 shots, averaging 3.3 shots per game. So there's a nice floor there. That's why I've always taken him over 2.5 shots. You're going to see him there at the Prize Picks as well. If you see over 2.5 shots, don't be afraid to take that. So an assist and 4 shots just the other night. And he's played 3 games against San Jose so far this season. He's got 10 shots on goal. He only has the 1 point, but this is a really good spot for him. And then John Tavares in here next at 3. I just think it's slightly low. It does look like Austin Matthews is going to come back in the lineup, but that's okay. Willie Nylander has been pretty hot. I expect those two to pair up and play. For Tavares, he only has 6 goals, 2 in his last 17 games, but he has 8 shots in his past 2 games against the Oilers. Again, like the Sharks, Edmonton, they allow a ton. They're in the top 5 in terms of goals allowed per 60 minutes, shot attempts, and scoring chances allowed. And you look at the Leafs, number 3 in scoring chances per 60 minutes generated at 5-on-5. So Tavares a little quiet lately, but 3 points. Just need to get there with a goal, an assist, and a couple shots, and we'll be on our way. Check out prizepicks.com. Let's bring in the Griff Dog DFS. Griffin Swanson, what's going on, man? How are you?
Not a whole lot. Same old, same old. Basically work, sleep, eat, and hockey at this point in my life. So ready to rock with these 6 games here tonight. Got some fun ones.
Yes, got some fun ones from sure. I don't know if you had a chance, and I want to put you on the spot for Prize Picks, but there are several options here. I was looking at Nate McKinnon again at 5 points. I thought that was a sneaky one, and I really wanted to go with Evander Kane. You and I will break down this Colorado and San Jose game, but Kane is, as you know, he's a guy who's not afraid to shoot the puck. He gets in there, he parks his butt right in front of the net, and he was very noticeable when these two teams played the other night.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points here in his last 10. He's averaging about 3.5 shots on net per game over that 10-game stretch as well. So playing really well, playing with Logan Couture, who's playing pretty damn well himself. So I like that pick a lot. I got another one, though, if you don't mind. I actually like Anze Kopitar here at 3.1. Kings back at home, had a 6-game winning streak, obviously prior to losing to Minnesota, their back-to-back games. But Kopi's been playing well here, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points in his last 10, but averaging 2.5 shots on net and blocking at least 1 shot per game in 9 of his last 10. So he's at 3.1, and I think he hits that over back at home here tonight. So if I had to pick one, I'd like rolling with that.
I like that call. Yeah, Kopitar's a guy who just he in the DFS community and season long just gets disrespected. I feel like nobody wants to take him all that early, but you look at him overall. I mean, this is a guy who has. I'm just taking a look right now. 973 points in 1,000 games. Like he's basically been a point per game guy his whole career. He's got 23 and 20 this year, so off to a really good start. And the Kings playing some decent hockey, as you mentioned. We'll get into them in a little bit. Let's start with Washington and Boston. We have the Bruins minus 139 at home, 5-14 against the spread, 12-15 or 12-5-2 rather. They're just a couple points behind Washington. They do have 2 games in hand. Washington tied with the Islanders atop the East. They're plus 120, 12-9 against the spread, 12-5-4. These two teams, they played each other twice. Griff, Washington won 4-3 in overtime, and then Boston bounced back in the second of 2, 5-3. So both games went over the number. Do you have a feel here? Do you think we'll see some goals?
I do believe we'll see some goals. And if I'm not mistaken, in that second game as well, Caps actually got out to a 3-goal lead, and then Boston scored 5 straight after that. So definitely think that the over can hit here. Obviously it's easy to chase that when it's hit both times already. But 6 is a good number. I do believe that. Both teams, I believe, are scoring at least 3 goals per game. Yeah, Boston 3 goals per game, Capitals 3.4 goals. So just based off the average there, they're kind of hitting the over already. Boston has been better at not allowing goals, but we've seen them slip up at times as well this year. So I don't know how much I'll be heavily invested into that, but I guess, yeah, if I'm picking one, it'd probably be the over. But overall, should just be a fun game to watch. A lot of talent and a lot of firepower from both teams there.
Yeah, a ton of firepower. I lean to the over. If Cam was here, he'd be talking about that live bet, when the team's up 3-0. I think he brought that up before when these two teams played, and the Bruins, when they're down, he seems to always jump on the Bruins in the over. I don't really have a strong feel on who wins this game. I think I'm leaning with Boston here, but I think my favorite play would be the over. Matty Best, do you have a say in this matchup?
I think I'm going with the
What do
over
you say?
here. It's another one of those games
Both?
where I just want to watch it kind of thing. The Capitals
Yeah.
have burnt me a few too many times this year, so I'm not too hot on going to them on the money line, even though it looks a bit nice. Yeah, give me the over, and that's basically all I'll take, and maybe a shot prop or two, but I haven't decided on that yet.
Yeah, I think we'll see Ilya Samsonov play again. He returned just on February 28th. He had the win. He only faced 21 shots. It was against the Devils, and they have an issue scoring goals. But he has the 8.78 save percentage. And Rask, even though Rask's numbers are great, I mean, he's 8-3-1 at 2.71 goals against average. He's sub 90 as well, 8.96. So I think we'll see some goals. I'm just a little worried on the Washington side, Griff. Kuznetsov hasn't been playing, and he hasn't been good when he's playing either. We'll get into it from a DFS side of things, but one guy I've noticed who's been pretty good, Lars Eller, has been pretty decent lately. I know he only has 11 points on the season, but he comes in riding a 3-game point streak. He's got 4 points over that span. His ice time has jumped up just a little bit. So we would need him to hit the score sheet probably at least once. So if we can get to that over, but I am leaning, we'll recap at the end, but I am leaning Boston, but I like some goals there. Let's talk about Maddie's Leafs. Toronto. It doesn't seem like it matters who they put in goal. They're getting shutouts. Amazing. Like McDavid shutout twice in a row. Once by Campbell, once by Hutchinson. The Oilers minus 108 here at home, 11-13 against the spread, 14-10. The Leafs rolling, 17-4-2, minus 108. 6.5 total, a little high. It hasn't gotten there. Like I said, back-to-back shutouts, 3-0 and 4-0. Anytime McDavid gets shut out back-to-back games, I don't know. I feel like it's a good side maybe to jump on him, but I don't know. Leafs are rolling, Griff.
Yeah, and I think that's the first time that he's been shut out back-to-back games this year, if I'm not mistaken, because I hit that pretty hard in one of my videos saying, hey, this guy, he just doesn't not put up points, in 2 straight games. So that kind of caught me off guard as well. I mean, them just getting shut out in general. We do get Matthews back here tonight and haven't seen him the past 2 games. So this is even going to be a better Toronto team here tonight. Matthews, as we all know, fire on all cylinders. So it might be one of those games, like Matt said, I just sit back and watch because this one should be fun as well. I think, hitting the over looks intriguing when you have all these stars on both sides, but the under has come in 4 times, I believe, already in the
Yeah.
6 games that they've played. So As much as I'd like to chase that and hope for a shootout of a game, it's just might be one of those ones as well where I just sit back and watch. But either way, McDavid, Matthews, that's a must-see hockey there.
Matt, are we going to see some goals between these two teams? I like Griff's spot on here. Every time these guys play, it's you would think with all the firepower we would see one of those 6-5 games. It just hasn't been the case. And I don't know. I want to give credit to the Leafs defense. Like, what have you noticed from them this year compared to last year, or even over the past couple of weeks? Just it seems like lockdown mode with them. They're not giving up a whole lot.
It's incredible what TJ Brodie's done to this team in terms of just adding defensive stability and letting Morgan Rielly play his game again. Because Morgan looks like he's just more opened up now that he doesn't have a guy named Stefan Robida, or he doesn't have a guy that's just a plug-and-play character on the top line with him. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, and he has that defensive just know-how now that he has someone covering his ass, which is fantastic for Morgan. That being said, it feels like the whole defense core has bought in. They all have ridiculously long sticks and long reaches. I mean, you look at a guy like Justin Hall, and he's able to just reach around people, even though he's not the fastest guy on the team. The over at 6.5, I don't even want to touch that. If out of all the games, this is the one where I'm just literally going to watch. I will piggyback on your prize picks, though. I love Tavares at 3.0. That is one of my favorites. Tavares and Kopitar and Rantanen were the three that I enjoyed when I looked at it this morning, so that just gives me a little more confidence going into things. Zachy Hyman, though, is another guy that I want to keep an eye on in DFS, on shot props for anytime goals. Hyman's just been buzzing around the net lately. It doesn't matter who this guy's been playing with. He's just found ways to score. And if his good old pal Austin Matthews is back in the lineup, that makes me want to go to Hyman even more on shot props and goal props.
Well, Zachy, I saw Bogosian trying to teach him how to fight.
Oh, that was hilarious.
You gotta love when the vets just chime in like, "Hey, no, you're doing this wrong, and I'm gonna show you how to do it right."
Yeah, you gotta tuck the left shoulder in that jersey there, and then that's when you get the right arm in. It was pretty good.
They don't throw full 100% punches at them, but like, hey, just this is how you get it, and they just throw like 50%. Like, still gonna tag you here a little bit, and so you know what's coming. But I always get a kick at those vets showing how these younger guys how to fight.
Yeah, me too. I didn't give any shot props in the Washington-Boston game. I just didn't feel any, to be honest. You got Ovechkin at 4.5 plus 120 at DK. That's a little high, and there's a lot of juice there. Minus 177 for Pasternak, 3.5. It's not really for me, but I mean, you can get involved with anytime goals with two of those guys. I'm sure they find the back of the net, and it's the same sort of deal here. Tavares, I don't mind minus 155, 2.5. I think you can get it in some other spots, maybe minus 140. I would like that, obviously a little bit better. We could see McDavid just snap tonight. It's very possible. 3.5 shots plus money. I actually don't mind that one. If I'm going to take an Oiler, it's probably that guy. Connor.
He's all right.
Nylander's been so hot too. Yeah, he's all right. He's pretty good. There's a couple guys have been like, for one, stop playing Koskinen. He's no good, right? Mike Smith has been great. Surprisingly, he's been awesome. He's got 6 wins, a 1.87 goals against average, 938 save percentage. We just talked about the Leafs and how tight they've been. So maybe the under really is the play. But I'm not going to do it. There's too much firepower. I'm not going to touch the total at all. I think the Oilers bounce back. I think we see a little bit from them tonight, even though with Matthews coming back, I think we see a very just motivated Edmonton team not to lose 3 straight and just maybe score a couple goals here against the Leafs. So that's where I'm going to lean for now, but I'm not totally confident. But I wanted to just give a little bit more love to Nylander, because I know a lot of people, not even a Leafs guy here, but I get so sick of hearing the noise with him. I know he's not a guy that goes into the corner and he doesn't throw his body around. Heck, I don't even know if he's had a hit this year. I'm sure he has 4 or 5. But what he's done lately without Matthews stepping up, I mean, he enters with a 3-game goal streak. He's got 4 goals over that span. He's got 5 over his past 6. He's got 5 points over his past 3 games. So I know he takes a lot of heat, but in the DFS community too, he doesn't even really, like, I find Griff, his ownership is always fairly low. And what is he at today? I mean, he was under 5. I mean, he's still under 5K. He's 4.9, which is pretty silly, I think. we'll get into it in a little bit, but I
Yeah, he
think that's
scored a beauty of a goal the other night
oh
too,
man.
as well. That backhand was pretty nice. Yeah, $4,900, very reasonable. Like you said, like Tavares tonight, so nice guy that you can stack him up with in DFS if you are going to go that route. Going to get some power play time as well. But yeah, I'm looking at his stats here right now. You're not far off. He's got 7 hits on the year in 23 games, so
Yeah, he doesn't throw
definitely not a guy that's going to throw his body around. But he's got goals here in 3 straight games. 4 in his last 3, and seems to be firing the puck a little bit here as well.
St. Louis and Anaheim next. The Ducks are home dogs plus 115. I wonder how many times they've been home dogs this year. Probably quite often. Blues minus 134, 6-16 against the spread, 14-8 against the spread for Anaheim. The total's here at 5.5. It was a 5-4 victory for St. Louis. We were on that on Monday, but honestly, it did not feel good to pick it, Griff, and it didn't feel good to watch it. The Blues are just weird. Oh man, they have leads, they give them away when I feel like they should win games and score goals. They don't. There was a stretch there where they played Arizona 7 straight times, and I thought Arizona should have won all 7 of those games. I know they took 4 of them, but sitting here at minus 134, I have a hard time not leaning with them again. I do think that they're a better team. Zegras still waiting for that first goal. Man, I don't know if you saw the highlight the other night. He almost had it with lacrosse style. It was very,
Get one.
oh man, he's legit. He's so good. Do you have a feel with this game? Like, are you with me here, St. Louis, or do you think the Ducks at home? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, if we could just eliminate goaltenders, I'd say hammer St. Louis at minus 150. But this goaltender situation that St. Louis has going on right now is a bit sketchy, and
Yeah.
Binnington just hasn't looked very good. Now, I don't know who they're going to go with here tonight. I do believe that Binnington got pulled last game, so it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't mind minus 150 there. Like I said, if we could just eliminate the damn goaltender and make it a lot easier, because I think, straight up roster to roster, if you're looking at them on paper, you're like, yeah, St. Louis every time. But yeah, they've been a little sketchy playing on the road here. Yeah, I don't mind rolling with St. Louis just because they have won all 3 games that they've played with here. But at minus 150, again, just might want to be one of those games that I sit back and watch a little bit. But there's a shot prop here that I don't mind, and that's going to be David Perron at plus money, 2.5 over at plus 120 there. So that is one I don't mind playing on that first line, playing on that first power play. He can be a bit sporadic with shooting the puck, but I believe he had 7 shots on net last game, and that's what, he definitely has that upside. So that's really what's sticking out to me here between these 2 teams.
Yeah, I love that Perron call. Yeah, he had, as you mentioned, the 5 and then 7 a couple games ago against the Kings. He's usually always plus money for the most part. We've been talking about him quite a bit, and I don't mind taking shots on him. Hoffman has cooled off just slightly. He was a guy that I was starting to get involved with. He only has 2 shots over his past 2 games, and his minutes, his ice time, it's really weird because they're missing some guys. Like Schwartz is not playing. And I know they had Barbashev up on the top 6 for a bit. He's on the IR. And, for Hoffman to get 12 minutes, 13 minutes in a game I don't like it. That's my issue with Hoffman. Like, I'm used to him. A few games before that, it was 20 minutes, 17, 21, 19, and then he was back in the 14-minute range. Like, why is he getting 12 minutes, 13 minutes? There's a lot made of his defensive game and his awareness defensively, not always there. That's kind of the knock on him. He was waiting around forever for a contract. I mean, in Florida, he had a ton of ice time. He's always on that first power play unit. He gets some time in the first power play unit, but if there's a guy to pick, you're dead on. Like Perron is never playing 13 minutes. This guy is always flirting with 20 minutes with Ryan O'Reilly, and I like Jordan Kyrou on that line too. It's been a really good trio over the past week or so, despite the shakiness in goal. You're right. I think they go back to Binnington in net, and I think that's a plus. But there's something to be said about playing players against Gibson too. Do you feel that way in DFS? I think a lot of people want to play Gibson. They've realized he's really good. They're afraid to stack against Gibson. I find players that come in low owned when they're up against the Ducks and Gibson.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gibson is a stud. You kind of hope for him to get traded at some point with Anaheim trying to rebuild here. They definitely have some young guys that they can do that around. We already mentioned Zegras earlier. So, yeah, I do kind of hesitate sometimes when playing Gibson, but obviously this Ducks team in general just isn't very good. Like I said, very young, and they do have a lot of moving pieces. But yeah, Gibson, if he gets hot early in a game, it can be one of those games where he can face 30, 40 shots and only allow one or two. So I definitely have that sense as well. You could probably get him at low ownership though here on the St. Louis side. So if you want to roll out some of those guys like O'Reilly, Perron, have no issue with that whatsoever. And like I said, I obviously like the shot prop there with Perron as well. So no, you're absolutely right though. It always creeps in the back of my head because Gibson, you put him on the right team, could arguably be one of the best goaltenders in the league.
Oh yeah, I think he's a stud. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's sitting there at 7K, and I'm always staring at him at 7K. But he's played the Blues 3 times this season: a 4-1 win for St. Louis, a 6-1 win for St. Louis, and I believe he got yanked early in that game. Yeah, he's faced 6 shots and let in 3, and then this most recent game, a 5-4 win against St. Louis. So for whatever reason, it seems like he can't get it done against the Blues, right? That's
Got their number
3
of them.
games this season where he's been shelled basically in all 3 of them. So think about the Blues tonight. Could be sneaky in DFS. Kings and Zona LA plus 102 at home, 15-5 against the spread, 9-7-4. Arizona 9-9-3 minus 118, 10-11 against the spread. This total is 5.5. You feeling the Kings tonight?
I am feeling the Kings tonight. Yeah, actually, when I was looking at the spreadsheet or put my spreadsheet together last night, just kind of dipping into some of these lines here, I was kind of surprised that the Kings were plus 102 at home. Obviously, they just lost 2 straight games to Minnesota in Minnesota, but man, that Wild team is playing a lot better than I had them this year to play, but they're fun to watch. Kirill the Thrill seems to be the real deal. So I'm going to take that with a grain of salt because prior to that, the Kings were on a 6-game winning streak. They beat the Blues twice in St. Louis, beat Arizona twice in Arizona, and then they actually beat the Wild as well during that 6-game win streak. So plus 102, that's probably my favorite bet here, money line wise for tonight. But like I said, was pretty surprised to see that they were plus tonight.
I'm with you. Yeah, Kings team's been playing good. They've been very impressive. Drew Doughty seems like a bit of a bounce back from him too in the fantasy community. He's been great season long. He's blocking shots. He's throwing his body around. He's hitting the score sheet. He's actually a top 10 fantasy hockey defenseman, and you don't see that. Like, he's not drafted that way. Even if you look at rankings across the industry, nobody has him as like a top 15 defenseman in fantasy. He's been just eating a lot of minutes, and he's one of those guys too. Matt, you know this, living north of the border, when anyone takes a shot at Doughty, he just kind of takes a shot back at them. Like, I think I saw him post on social media. It was like an analytics thing with Doughty and his numbers being bad and talking about Team Canada and not going to get there. And Doughty kind of clapped back at the article. So he hears it all. Are you 3 for 3 here, Matt, with us in the Kings, or do you like Zona?
Yeah, hit me with the Kings. The Kings have been one of my favorite picks. Same with Kopitar. That kid's been or not even kid anymore. That feels weird. That guy's been just an absolute stud for season long for me. One of the guys that I guess a lot of people drafted in the later rounds who's just turned out to be fantastic. Give me LA here, like you guys were talking about. They were rolling until they met a red-hot Minnesota team, and like Griff said, Kaprizov is just so damn fun to watch. After his hot start, I went and got him everywhere, so I'm a big fan of him. But yeah, give me LA here, and like Griff said, this is one of my favorite plays as well.
Yeah, I like it. Let's just take them at home plus money. Yeah, speaking of the Wilds, that was a great game the other night against Vegas. They blew it. They're up 4-2, and Vegas came back. I was following along live bets. We were talking in the FTN Discord, like, is there any live bets here? It's like, maybe we should do Vegas, and everyone was already all in on Vegas. It's like, do you double down here? Just let this ride out. They came back, and they had the overtime win. They're minus 147 at home. Minnesota plus 123 here. 8-10 against the spread for Vegas. 10-9 rather for Minnesota against the spread. Totals at 5.5. I thought it would go under. I was completely wrong there. There were a lot of goals in that game. Stone had 5 assists. Pacioretty woke up, had the OT winner. I believe he had 8 shots on goal. I really like what Vegas has done with their lines, Griff. Just mixed it up a little bit, right? You got Tuck playing up top with Stone. William Karlsson has seemed to have been waking up a little bit, and then Pacioretty there with the kid, Cody Glass. Riley Smith waiting for him to wake up, and Jonathan Marchessault doesn't seem to be really all there either. But the Minnesota thing, man, they're impressive, Griff. They really are good.
Yeah, it's been the first time in a long time since we've been able to really say, hey, man, this Minnesota Wild team is
Yeah.
fun to watch. But yeah, Kaprizov, he's bringing that in right now. I mean, even that whole second line with Zuccarello, he's been tearing it up since he's come back from the IR. So I like watching this Minnesota team now for the first time in a long while. Obviously, being from Minnesota, most of my family are Minnesota Wild fans, so I definitely tune into that. But yeah, for all the right reasons this year. But like you said, statistically, you kind of want to chase the under here. It just kind of makes sense. Both teams have been very good defensively. But after watching that game the other night, all it takes is, a few shifts from either side for them to rack up some goals pretty quickly. There was a stretch there in the second period where I thought Minnesota was just going to run away with it. So I'm hesitant to bet the over or under here. Vegas has been very, very good at home this year as well. So I kind of like chasing them as good as Minnesota has been. And at minus 141, that's not crazy juice to where I won't attack it. So as great as Minnesota has been here, Vegas 9-2-1 at home this season, I do lean Vegas here on the money line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, Matt, we can just rewind the tape from Monday. Anytime that we can get Vegas, as good as Minnesota has been, we've said this, right? We said the exact same thing on Monday. As good as they've been, anytime that you can get Vegas at like minus 140, I think you do it at home. And Griff, you're spot on. 9-2-1 at home so far this season. It is the best record going. I know Tampa is 9-1, but in that division, it is the best record going at home. So yeah, I think I lean goals. I think what I've seen, you're right. It only takes a shift or two, like you said. And what I saw from that game, I know that both teams are tight. They don't give up a whole lot. Vegas has been strong. Fleury's been so good all year in net, and it doesn't seem like whoever Minnesota puts in net as well has been really good. I wonder if they go Cam Talbot tonight. And I know people may go, Talbot, like he stinks, but he doesn't. He's actually pretty decent, and
Right.
he's been good this year when he plays. So it's kind of contradicting myself a little bit, but with both lines, with both teams having like just strong top sixes, I think that we will see some goals, but I'm definitely locking in Vegas again. But I think this is a game where you could maybe attack it from a DFS standpoint, and it would have been super sneaky on Monday because Pacioretty, our guy Javi Perlezzo over at ftmbets.com, had Stone and Pacioretty in a GPP where they were both sub 5% ownership. Like nobody was even thinking about those two guys or thinking about goals between the Wild and Vegas. So it may not be sneaky this time around, but don't be surprised if you see some goals and then some low ownership there with the Vegas Golden Knights. All right, Colorado. These guys burned me the other night. Like they just crushed me, man. I had them in a bunch of parlays. I had them on the puck line. Luckily, you got the shot props with McKinnon and Rantanen. So it wasn't all bad, but I just didn't expect this, man. And we have San Jose plus 182, Colorado 215, 6-13 against the spread. The Sharks 8-9-2 on the year. Mentioned all the the high danger chances, the quality chances that this team gives up, but they held Colorado to 2 goals and they spanked them. 6-2 was the final. The total is here at 6. I'm going to go back to the Avs and DFS. I'm going to try to go back to the second line and get unique again with Kadri and maybe get a piece of Saad or Burakovsky on the power play. I think Girard is another good play in DFS. He was sub 4K on Monday. He's crept up. I think we'll get to it, but I think he's like 4-1 right now. He's on that first power play unit. I don't know. I think we'll see a different Avs team. It's not like they didn't show up, Griff. They still got a ton of chances and quality chances. And I know they were down big and the game was already out of hand, but they owned the puck in the third period. They couldn't find a way to score goals. I don't think I'll get involved money line stuff, but I think we'll see the Avs pot 3 or 4 tonight.
Yeah, not at that price tag there. What are they? Minus 215 right now. So yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that money line as well. But hey, I'm right there with you. As much as they have burned me at times this year, I'm gonna go back to the Avalanche. There's just too much firepower on that team to ignore. Devin Taves has been playing awesome this year. DraftKings wise, kind of hit a bit of a slump over the last 3, but prior to that, racking up damn near double-digit DraftKings points every single game. And he's a guy that can do it on both ends as well. He can get on the score sheet, shoot pucks, but he's also going to block shots as well. So a number of different ways that he can get you there. You kind of hope that it comes in at low ownership, just because the Avs haven't been necessarily great, or at least they haven't met expectations, I think, from a lot of us this year. But they also had that pause, that COVID pause as well, and that can definitely interrupt some teams. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Meaney. I'm not afraid to chase this Avalanche team, because when they do hit, and they're going to at some point here, you're going to want them on your roster. These guys have just incredible ceiling scores when it comes to DraftKings.
Yeah, I think people will shy away. You're right. They have been underwhelming, right? They're not blowing out teams that they probably should blow out. And yeah, they were without Nate for a little bit, and they were without Landeskog for a little bit. They had this last year was the same sort of deal. Everyone was out besides McKinnon. Makar missed time as well. Kadri was out, Burakovsky was out, Donskoy. All these guys were in and out of the lineup, and they just found a way to get it done. But I'm looking at them. Just I know they had the 4 games against Vegas, whatever, but then Minnesota had their way, and then it looked like, okay, maybe they're going to get going here. They had the 2 games against Arizona. It was a 6-2 blowout, and then they play the Sharks. I'm like, okay, like they're rolling now into this game, and they just got crushed 6-2. Matt, Colorado. Seems like a puck line play for you.
It does seem like a puck line play for me. This seems like too good of a bounce back kind of opportunity here.
I know.
Give me the puck line. I might get cheeky and play with the Colorado total on its own. I haven't looked at it, what it could be yet. I'm doing that on the fly as we speak. No, I can't find it right now. But that's just something I might go to, because like you said, I feel like the Avalanche are going to be a team that's going to pot goals tonight. Whether or not they just get the 4 goals on their own and the Sharks don't get any, that's why I don't want to touch the over-under. But I have a feeling, like you said, the Avs are going to come out hot and heavy and just fire the puck a ton.
They're minus 114 to score over 3.5 goals.
I don't like that too much anymore. That's I thought it was going to be a lot better. I guess not.
But Vegas knows.
They know. They're keeping my money in my pocket then for that bet.
Plus 155 over 4. Come on, get crazy. Shot props, same sort of deal. I know you guys are probably sick of me talking about Rantanen, but whatever. Like, he cashes more times than not. Like, averaging 3.3 shots, and every time I see him at 2.5, I'm just going to take him. So I like
not want to boost that up for whatever reason. It's been like that all season, and as long as it's at 2.5, I'm right there with you.
Yeah,
he's the guy that the minutes he's playing and the guys he's playing with, McKinnon, Landeskog, playing on that top power play. I mean, obviously you're going to get shots from McKinnon night in and night out. I think he's got 13 over his past 2 games, which obviously love to see that from McKinnon, because if he's churning, eventually the rest of the Avs are going to follow as well. He's looked good here over the last 2 games, but yeah, give me Mikko, even with the juice at minus 150, 2.5 is just too low of a shot prop for this guy.
Yeah, and I know some books too. He's like 230, 24, or minus 130, minus 140. I don't fully get it. I've been waiting all year for him to jump up to 3. I know some books are adjusting. They get to 3, and then that's tough to clear that. And you know, if your book is adjusting with the 3s and the 3.5s, like it's okay to. I know we give a lot of overs here, but it is okay to flirt with some unders. Reach out to Griff or myself if you have a question, or you know, again here in the YouTube comment section, circle back if you know if your book is offering something different than what we're giving. But I'd like the whole line, to be honest with you. I mean, Landeskog is minus 112 for 2.5. He's not my favorite. I typically like to go Rant, and then even Nate, you mentioned the shots, but this guy is shooting the puck so often. And one thing I like about this trio, as opposed to other teams, I know the Penguins do it with Sid, and they roll him out quite often. The Leafs with Matthews, but Colorado not afraid to double shift that line. Like Rantanen, it doesn't matter if they're up or down. Like they just roll through. I feel like they're going at least every 3 lines before you get that 4th line out there. So those guys get, like you said, just a ton of ice time. So that's the shot prop that I like the most. We didn't really give too many. I like Pacioretty still 3.5. It's minus 155. That's not one that I usually typically get to, but I just loved what I saw from him against the Wild. and he's a guy that shoots the puck a ton. You mentioned Perron. That's a great one, plus 120 at 2.5 for the shot prop there. Tavares, 2.5, minus 155. I go to McDavid. I think we're just going to see a big game from him shooting the puck, plus 100, 3.5 as well. And then everything else is just like, ugh, I'm not there. I think if you want an under, if Kuznetsov does play, I gave the under the past couple times he went. If he does play and he pops up, I would give the under there. He's just not shooting it. I don't know how healthy he is either, so I would give the under. Is there any other props or goals before we get over to DFS that you?
Yeah, Dustin Brown actually sticks out to me as well. Playing on that first line for the Kings. I got to pull open here the prop. I believe he was plus money as
He
well
usually is.
last night. This guy's averaging 2.5 or 2.8 shots per game over his last 10. I believe he's got 7 goals in his last 10 as well. It's actually pretty funny. He had an interview after one of those games, and he came out and he said, "Hey, I'm feeling good." But he goes, "My kids don't think I'm very good." It's a pretty comical interview where he's like, I talked to my kids. He goes, "My oldest son," he goes, "just doesn't think I'm that good of an NHL hockey player." Because he got McDavid's, the Crosbys. He goes, all these superstars in the league. They're just like, "Dad, you're not very good at hockey." But this guy has been playing fantastic this year. 11 goals in 20 games already, shooting the puck a little bit more and playing on that top line, like I said, in top power play. So looks like he's coming in at some plus money here right now. Just pulling open the prop itself, looks like he's 2.5 plus 110. So that's not one I'm afraid to go to either.
Yeah, I like that one. It's pretty good. Yeah, he's tied for sixth in goals. I mean, he has a career high 24 shooting percentage, which is a little unsustainable, but he's always been a guy that scores, right, Griff? Like, as another guy, I don't want to put him on the level of Kopitar, but same sort of deal as a guy who just gets disrespected. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 goal seasons under his belt. So be easy on dad there, kids. Like,
Yeah, right. He had a 5 year stretch there where he just, kind of fell off the face of the earth a little bit,
Yes.
along with the Kings team in general. Obviously, they had a stretch there where they won 2 Stanley Cups, but kind of bounced back here, really not just this year, but over the last few years in general. 2018 had 61 points, 2019 had 51, both 20-goal seasons. So he looks to be right on pace with that again. He's not going to be a guy that gets you a point every single night, but dude is firing the puck in the back of the net right now, and love catching NHL players when they're hot. Obviously it can get very streaky, but this is one guy who's playing some consistent hockey.
Yeah, he really is. All right, let's move over to DraftKings. McDavid 9-1, McKinnon 8-8, Matthews 8-5, Bergeron 7-9, Draisaitl 7-8. Then a bit of a drop off here. We got Tavares 6-8, Backstrom 6-2, Couture is 6, Kopitar 5-7, and then Braden Shen, who's having a pretty good year. He is 5-6. Is it the Colorado boys? Is it McKinnon that you're going to have in a majority of your lineups tonight?
It makes it so easy, especially if you want to stack those guys up, whether it's all three with McKinnon, Landeskog, or Rantanen, or you just kind of do some pairings with those guys as well. Makes sense if you want to throw Girard on there, who's super cheap on the defensive side, which I'm sure we'll get to here, playing on that number 1 power play. So yeah, it's honestly more times than not, I'm going to go with these guys out of Colorado. Like I said, the blow up games are coming and you want to be a part of that. So definitely not afraid to go back to it. Hopefully we can get them at some low ownership as well. But if I had to staple one guy, I mean, how do we not pick Austin Matthews based off the way that he started the season? He is day-to-day technically right now with that wrist injury, but sounds like he practiced in full yesterday. I believe he said he would have been able to go as of last night. So I expect him to be back here, but the dude just seems to have every goalie's number this year, 18 goals in 20 games. As much as I do like that first line out of Colorado, it's pretty hard to ignore this guy out of Toronto as well, playing some really, really good hockey.
Yeah, he is. Those are my two as well. I typically like to spend up at center and try to find value on D or in net or in the wing. So McKinnon, Matthews, I think that for whatever reason, 9-1 and just with the Oilers and what they've done lately too, which is nothing, that maybe this is one of those days where McDavid, you can get him with lower ownership than usual. Like Matthews coming back, people are going to want to get in on him. McKinnon, I don't think people are sharp these days in DFS. A few years ago, it would be like, okay, no thanks. I'm not going back to that. They already burned me. I'm not going to go to Colorado. But recency bias, like it is a thing in DFS. But I think more people are willing to just go back, right? Like the other night, I think we had somebody tweet Eric and I this morning or late last night was you guys were on the Jets against the Canucks. It didn't work, but I went back to them last night and like it worked, right? Like the guys that you talked about on Monday who were no shows, luckily they showed up. If you get burned 2 nights in a row, maybe you're a little hesitant to go to that third time, right? It was the same deal with McDavid. We talked about in the Discord chat. We're not going to get shut out again. And he did.
Yeah.
So would it be a third time? I don't know. It could be one of those nights where you get McDavid. I would assume that Matthews and McKinnon will have larger ownership than McDavid. Down the board for some value, I don't know. There's something weird about Lars Eller for me today. I don't know what it is, but he's kind of jumping out at 4-1. I'd like Kadri at 5-3, and I keep an eye on Krejci. If Krejci, it does sound like he's going to come back, which would ruin that second line for me. I really have liked Charlie Coyle recently. He's 3-7. He had 2 goals the other night. He has 4 points in his last 4 games, 3 of them goals. He had 5 shots there the other night. He had the shorthanded game-winning goal his last time out. I believe it was a game-winning goal. It was a shorty nonetheless, but he is interesting to me if Krejci doesn't play, just because I think we'll see some goals in that Washington and Boston game, and 3-7 is an interesting price, I think. Any other value? Is there anyone else before we move on to winger?
Value wise, I'm with you, Meaney. I like paying up for center and then try and find in value elsewhere. The other guy that does stick out to me, obviously, we're very heavy on the Avalanche, both of us here, but I'm not afraid to run it back in that game either. I don't necessarily think the Avalanche are going to be, throw a shutout here tonight. Logan Couture at $6,000 is a value play, in my opinion. I definitely think the way that he's been playing here as of late, he should be more expensive. Essentially averaging 14 DraftKings points here over his past 10 games. Makes for a nice stack up with Evander Kane if you want to do that as well. So yeah, as heavy as I probably will be on the Avalanche here tonight, definitely not going to be afraid to run it back with guys like that and kind of hope it turns into a shootout. You obviously saw the San Jose Sharks score 6 goals the other night. Do I foresee that happening again tonight? No, probably not, but definitely some shootout potential there based off of what we did see.
Love the Couture call. Yeah, he's been a value all year, right? 19 points in 19 games, got 12 over his last 10 games and 7 goals over that span. He's tied with Dustin Brown for 6th in the NHL in goals with 11. Over at wing, Pasternak 8-8, Ovechkin 8-3, Marner 7-8, Marchand 7-4, Rantanen 7-2. It just stands out to me. Nugent Hopkins 7-1, Pacioretty 7K, Garland's day to day, he's 6'5", Perron 6'3", and then Kane, who you just mentioned, is 5'8", Stone 5'7". He was down to, I believe he was 5K, was he? He was 5'1" the other night when he had the 5 apples. What are you doing at wing?
Yeah, so obviously I love playing Pasta every single night. He's expensive here at $8,800, but I think you'll see a lot of ownership on that first line out of Boston as well. Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak, just as well as that first line out of Colorado. I think those 2 lines are some of the best in hockey, and so I'm not afraid to play either one of those lines in line stacks, or like I said, just do pairings as well. But just getting away from some of the popularity there, Max Pacioretty, I guess he could very well be popular, but 40 shots on net here over his past 10 games, averaging 4 shots on net, got 10 goals this year, and obviously looked really, really good the other night. So this is a guy that can get you 5 shots on net, hit that DraftKings bonus of 3 points, which can go a long way. So Max Pacioretty at $7,000 is, this is a guy who's been priced in the 8K at times this year. 8-1, 7-9 here over the past couple of games. So at $7,000 here, I'm kind of considering that a discount.
Yeah, he just a puck hog, right? He just loves to shoot. He can't help himself. He shoots from everywhere. It doesn't matter. Yeah, dude loves to score goals. That's why when I said to 3.5 at -155 kind of makes you feel a little uneasy, but as you just rattle off the numbers, I mean, this guy is shooting quite often. Yeah, I'm spending up at center and try to find some value at wing. I have absolutely no issue with Pasta. You're right. Anytime that this guy's on the slate, I usually have him in one of my lineups. And Washington's been playing to the over quite often, right? They're allowing a lot of goals. They're playing a wide open style. So we could see the over hit there. And if it does, Pasta's probably involved in definitely a couple goals. Landeskog, mentioned him on Monday. He's still fairly cheap. 5.4 is it's just too cheap for him. He jumped up $200. That's it. Earlier in the year, he was a mid 7K player, and then he missed time on the COVID, and there was games postponed, and so I think that's why his price is down a little bit. He's only averaging 9.4 DK points per game. I think he's going to start to pick it up a little bit. He had the goal in his last game. He's got goals in 2 straight games. So I think that's a really good price. I mentioned Jordan Kyrou just at 4.8. He's having a really good year too. I mean, he's got 8 goals and 19 points on the season. I like the prawn call earlier by you. And again, I just think there's something there with the Blues having Gibson's number. Maybe it's 4th time's a charm for Gibson against the Blues. I'm not sure. But I think he can go back to some of those St. Louis guys. Alex Tuck at 3.8. Interesting up, with Pacioretty in his past couple games, 18 minutes against the Avs the other night. Those, you look at the back of his hockey card in the game log for all year, 2 of his past 3 games, he's played 18 plus minutes, which is more than he's played all year. I think maybe game 2 of the year he flirted with 19 minutes, but he's benefiting from the line shuffle in Vegas. So I think that's a guy to consider as well. I don't think there's anything really else value wise. Zegras is sub 3. He's going to score eventually. I mean, that guy's good. Is there any value, any other wings here as we jump down, maybe into the 5K range, 4K range?
Yeah, so Dustin Brown talked about him a little bit. I do like him at 5.2. If I'm going below that, now this is kind of an outlier play, and you could probably get him at really low ownership. But Timo Meier here, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points over his last 10, but 35 shots on net here over his past 10 as well. Now, what I don't love is necessarily the minutes night in and night out. He could get you 13 minutes one night, but he has the, ceiling of getting you 18, 19 minutes too. So going to play on that second line, play on that second power play if you kind of want to get away from Couture or Evander Kane. This is a guy that's been putting up some decent numbers here. He has back-to-back games with 3 points. So that's one that kind of caught my eye as I was kind of just going through this a little bit here last night. Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov, he looks really legit. $4,100. I'm not afraid to go there. Played 23 minutes the other night here. He has that it factor, right? You watch him play, the puck gets on his stick. The way he can just even pivot his hips when he's moving full speed is incredible. I certainly couldn't do that during my days of playing hockey, but really don't mind him at 4,100 either. And then one guy is Max Comtois here at $3,600. I don't love playing Anaheim Ducks players, but 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points here in his last 10. Just seems like a guy that can get on the score sheet. Yeah, or at least has pretty consistently here to start the year, 14 points in 22 games. So if you are looking for some value plays sub $4,000, he's another guy that kind of sticks out to me as well.
Yeah, he's a guy that, well, I mean, if you're going to play a Duck, it's probably him, right? I think he leads every category for Anaheim besides hits. He's having a pretty good season as well. I think we talked about him on a Prize Picks 1 episode. I think he was at 2. It's like all this guy needs to do is just have a couple shots and we're there. Yeah, I think that's it from the value. I don't know Kaprizov. I don't know why he's 4-1. I mean, that's crazy to me because they've adjusted with Matt Zuccarello. I mean, he was 3K for a bit and he's up to 5.5 now. And that's a duo that just looks real strong. They look nice. So in around that range, there's some guys, Landy 5.4, Nylander 4.9, Kyrou 4.8. And it sounds like maybe you think there's going to be some goals in San Jose and Colorado. I think maybe you've talked yourself into potentially the over there with both
of those game stacks up from my side here tonight. But yeah, he's another guy that just kind of stuck out to me. And I mean, like I said, we expect the Avalanche to bounce back here, but that doesn't necessarily mean they won't give up a few goals either.
That's right. Over at D, John Carlson 6'6", Burns 6'5", Barry 6'2", Chikrin 6, Nurse 5'9", Pietrangelo 5'8", Theodore 5'7". Both of those guys have really dropped down for Vegas in terms of price. McAvoy's 5'6". Makar is out of the lineup tonight. Morgan Riley's 5'3", Taves 5'2", Krug 5. What are you doing at the top? I mean, Theodore's really staring at me at 5'7", man.
So a guy who's staring right in the face of me as well. I mean, both him and Pietrangelo, if we just look at fantasy points per game, both of those guys lead all the defensemen here, and they're below $6,000. So as great as Carlson is on the power play, Boston has at times shut down other teams. Tyson Barrie was super hot there for a stretch, but has kind of cooled off as well. I don't mind Jacob Chikrin there. This is a guy that can certainly find the back of the net. 5 goals already this year, 10 assists. But yeah, Meaney, I'm right there with you. Shea Theodore is sticking out to me at that price tag. He hasn't been, the ceiling player that we saw at times last year, even in the playoffs as well. But he's certainly still got it. 7 shots here in his last 2 games, back-to-back games here with at least 1 assist. So yeah, playing the minutes that he plays, that's the guy I really want to spend up on. But I'm also not afraid of this kid, Charlie McAvoy, playing some really good hockey for Boston right now. With Matt Grzelcyk being out, he's basically just slid into that number 1 power play role. So there's a guy that can get it done on both ends. He'll block shots, he'll shoot the puck, and find the score sheet. And I mean, really, anybody that plays with Pasta, Marchand, and Bergeron on that first power play, you're going to get opportunities to get on that score sheet.
Yeah, you will for sure. I like Gerard at 4-1. He's, again, since Makar's out, just a lot of ice time for him. He's had a decent year too. He doesn't shoot all that much, the 1 shot in the last 3 games, which is a bit of a bummer. I'd like to see him shoot more, but 25 minutes in each of his last 2 games. He comes in with 3 points over his last 2 as well, 4 of his past 4, and 8 in his last 10. So he has been at least hitting the score sheet. And if we like the Avs to score and we like that game environment, I think he's a good one to potentially attack. What about Drew Doughty? We've talked about the Kings here a little bit. $4,800. He's played 67 minutes in his past 2 games. He played 30 minutes in his last game, Griff.
That's just insane. And you know what? I mean, obviously he's getting a little bit older here, but like I said, he's a guy that likes to clap back, and perfect. Underestimate him. This is a guy that's going to raise his game. This Kings team in general has just been, better than I certainly expected them to be. But yeah, Doughty at $4,800. I believe he should be at least mid 5K range. And we've seen him there at times. I mean, just over the last 4 or 5 games here, 6,200, 59, 57, 54, 54. Now we're getting him here at quite the discount. And it's a guy who's averaging 10 DraftKings points per game over his last 10, 2 goals, 8 assists, 10 points. Absolutely love that call as well. And I'm obviously pretty heavy on this Kings team here tonight.
Yeah, ripped Erik Karlsson the other day, and then he scored a goal. So who knows? Maybe it's it's a sign of things to come. I don't know. It was only his first goal of the season. It's just his 5th point in 15 games. He's looked pretty bad, but he does have 9 shots over the past 2 games since returning to the lineup. So maybe he's a little healthy. 4K is so interesting for Erik Karlsson, even though he doesn't seem even close to the same guy he was just 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He was a guy that was always at the top of the price board here.
$7,000 for this guy. He used to be a
7
per game. Yeah.
Right. He was a guy that you always played.
Right. Yeah. It was, I mean, even watching him out on the East Coast quite a bit when he was playing with Ottawa, I mean, there are times where he looked like the best forward on the ice. I mean, the way he could just move from north to south was incredible to watch, but just kind of fell off the face of the earth here. Really, ever since he got traded to San Jose, he just hasn't been the same player. But yeah, I mean, it is intriguing at $4,000. Like I said, maybe he's getting a little bit hot here, but a bit hesitant just because, and you know what? Defensively, it doesn't matter for DraftKings, right? We don't care how great he is defensively. It's just if he's putting up numbers. So maybe I'm looking at a little bit too much in just his overall gameplay and just say, hey, need to focus on what he's doing offensively, because really that's all that matters.
Yeah, and he's not doing a whole lot. I mean, he just scored. That's it. Maybe he won't score again for another 15 games. Who knows? But like Eric and I think we were pretty hard on him on Monday. I think myself in particular, I was a little hard. It's like, yeah, you can just drop him. Brett Pesci. Pick Pesci up. He's doing more than Carlson, and he scored the other night too. Yeah. He's at least contributing elsewhere. He's shooting the puck a bit more, blocking some shots. I don't know what's going on with Carlson, but he just doesn't look healthy to me. Over in goal, Grubauer 8-4, Rask 8-3, Halak. If he gets the nod, I think it is going to be Rask. Nothing's confirmed here yet. Talking to you guys, 10 Eastern here. Fleury 8-2. Binnington is 8-1. I don't know. I think we'll see Hutchinson again, 7-8. I don't know if we're going to see Anderson or not. Mike Smith is 7-9. If you keep going down the board, you'll get to maybe we like the LA guys. Quick 7-4 potentially. Talbot is 7-1. I don't think I'm going to go there with Talbot tonight. I think Quick is an interesting call if he gets in net. What are you doing in net?
So building my spreadsheet here just last night. That's the guy I locked in. I guess I don't know if it's going to be Quick or Pettersson, if that's Pettersson there. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure because he's been pretty damn good himself as well. Only 4-4-2, but 0.28 save percentage from this young kid. So either way, 7-4, $7,400. That's exactly who I locked in last night. Super cheap. Again, I was just surprised in general that LA was plus money at home here tonight. So as intriguing as it would be to go back to Fleury, because Fleury has been awesome this year and Vegas has been really good at home, we saw that Minnesota can definitely score goals in bunches. So that's one game that I'll probably avoid from the goaltender side. Like you said, Cam Talbot, don't have any interest in that. But yeah, my eyes shoot right to those LA goalies for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the play, and I'm trying to find a second one that I love, and honestly, I don't really. I mean, Rant is going to get the call here. I think that game could be low scoring, but I'm not totally into Ranta. It looks like Kemper is ruled out, so he's not gonna get the call. I mean, Toronto, I don't want to go chasing there, but Hutchinson at 7-8 is decent on the other side. You want to go completely against the grain. Mike Smith at 7-9, but it's not for me. I think maybe we just target LA goalies. Always ask Matty what he's feeling tonight. Matt, what do you think, man? What's your DFS calls here?
For goalies, I think I might just go towards Johnny Quick or Cal Peterson, whoever's playing there. And then if you want to feel safe, I think Grubauer's the play, but I'm not opposed to taking a stab at John Gibson. That just feels like if I'm building lineups and I go, oh, I have too much and I need to shed somewhere, I don't feel bad going to Gibson here. Even if he doesn't pick up the win, he's going to face a lot of shots because the Anaheim defense is not great. So I'm always on board with taking goalies who face volume shooters. And it's just worrying in that sense, too, because like you were talking about with Hoffman's ice time, are we going to see Hoffman come out and play more than 12 or 13 minutes? So my Gibson face a lot of shots strategy comes to fruition, or are we going to get another side? I think that's a play that I'll go to more in GPPs compared to cash games. Cash games give me the safe plays. Give me a guy like Grubauer.
Yeah, I do think the Avs get the dub. Yeah, Gibson, I have no problem with going to Gibson at 7K. I mean, even rattling off some of the games that he's had against the Blues. At that price, 7K, I mean, it doesn't take much for him to return value. And I don't know if people will go to him. I was just looking I didn't know he's been as bad as what he has been over the past few. I mean, he hasn't topped 8 DK points in 6 straight games. He's been sub 8 in 8 of 10. So he could be a bit of a contrarian play here tonight, and it doesn't take much. I mean, he's such a stud. He can steal the game and get you the win would be a bonus, but he can get you that save bonus. And at 7K, it allows you to do a lot with your lineup. All right, Matt, you got
if Anaheim
what's
does
that?
win their right, if Anaheim does win their right, it's going to be a low scoring game. It likely doesn't
Absolutely
to a shootout. So you're looking at a 2-1 game, maybe a 3-2 game if Anaheim is able to pull it off. So like Matt said, you're probably not chasing this in cash games. That just doesn't make sense. But GPPs, I mean, why not? Sometimes that's the outlier play that you need to really shoot you to the top is let's just take a low price goalie here, stack up our lineup with a bunch of studs, and then just hope that the goaltender can pull it off. Hopefully face 34 plus shots so they can get that DraftKings bonus there as well. But yeah, I mean, if Anaheim is able to pull it off, you're probably looking at a pretty low scoring game.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, how did Monday go?
So
we had the Avs. I know that
you gave out 5 plays, and you went 2 for 4 because you got a push. So Vegas, you got Winnipeg, you missed. St. Louis, you got Colorado puck line, you missed, and then Calgary, Ottawa. What we gave it on the show, the over/under was 6, and that pushed.
Yeah.
So that brings you to 60 for 99.
I saw that Cam. He was sweating that out. I think he had I think he had the under, and he must have got it a little bit early. But he was a happy boy. Cam will be back on Friday. Griff, what do you think, man? What's the play? Give a couple plays. You got some?
Yeah, lock me in for that LA Kings money line at plus 102. I think that's probably my favorite bet here on the slate. Like I mentioned, there's a couple shot props that are floating out there. I do like the over on Dustin Brown. Do like the over on David Perron. And then if there's another one that I'm going to have to pick here, I mean, why not? Let's, take the over in that Capitals and Bruins game. Like I said, both teams have at least 3 goals per game or at least averaging that. A lot of firepower on both of those teams. If there's a second pick of mine, I'll take the over there with the Capitals and Bruins. It's hitting both games already so far this year.
All right, so let's see if we can get on a bit of a run here. Yesterday was decent, but wasn't on the show yesterday, so we got to come up with some picks here. I'm with you on the Kings. I like the Kings. I like St. Louis, Vegas. I'm gonna go back to the Colorado puck line. I'm going back there. I'm a sucker for punishment. Washington and Boston over. I think if you just do it like a 3 sides, like 3-game parlay would be Vegas, LA, and St. Louis. And then the total Washington, Boston, the over. And then maybe if you just wanted to do some 2 parlays, you get Colorado and Vegas in there, Colorado and St. Louis. Maybe not on the money line because it's juiced up so much, but maybe puck line just to get. I just think they bounce back. I can't see them losing. Those kids are going to take it out on San Jose. For the shot props, you mentioned them all. I'll just add Rantanen. I don't know if you said Rantanen or not, but yeah, Rantanen 2.5 minus 150 and Pacioretty 3.5 minus 155. Yesterday, I put in 6 anytime or first time goals in the FTN Discord chat. 5 of them scored. We had 2 first times. So let's try this again to see if we can get lucky again. I think not breaking any news. Some of these guys are studs, but Pasta, Perron, Pacioretty, Kopitar, Rantanen, and Nugent Hopkins. Those are guys that I think will at least score some goals tonight. So again, Pasta, Nugent Hopkins, Perron, Pacioretty, Kopitar, and Rantanen. There's a lot there. You can have some fun, mix it up. Anytime goals, probably the way to go. But you can have some fun there with first-time goals. I think there's some decent value there on Nugent Hopkins. All right, Griff, always a pleasure, man. Good stuff. Where can people check out your work? You're always doing videos here on the Mayo Media Network.
Yeah. Monday through Friday, posting one, Griff Dog DFS YouTube channel. And then on Saturday, I'm actually making a video for Pat and his team at the Mayo Media Network. So you can catch Monday through Saturday, posting an NHL DFS video. And then Twitter, at Griff Dog DFS, DOGG, shout out Snoop. But yeah, that's where you can catch me.
Snoop-a-loop. All right. Shout out to Maddie as well. He's on the Mayo Media Network on weekends with all kinds of great picks as well. PrizePicks.com. Check him out. Use that promo code MMN. I'm Chris Meaney. Good luck tonight. Talk to you on Friday. Cheers.